welcome back to this series about my portfolio project Eclipse. This is part 3 of the series where I will talk about my mission pitch. I'm Caro, I'm a rookie level designer and an experienced concept artist. I'm also a mixed media artist and you can find my work anywhere on the internet under my name. And so in this series I talk about a project that I'm making that is mostly for level design. And I do a little bit of concept art here and there as I have a lot of experience in that domain. But really this project is to help me build what I would like to be a career as a level designer. So in this part 3 I will talk about how I go about making my mission pitch. And as somebody that is mostly self-taught, well, I could say like internet taught, you know, because I did a 10-week course, sorry, because I did a 10-week course on the subject, you know, on internet, on CGMA. But getting more into documentation feels pretty hard, and I feel a bit lost, you know, when I think about it. And this is something I really wanted to improve and wanted to put into my portfolio to prove that I can do it and I can be autonomous, you know, on the production. I have seen a couple of pitches in my studio time, but I was mostly working on some game pitches. So level design and mission design pitches were not something that I really got in front of. You know, this is not something that I really participated in, and this is not something that has been often presented to me. So I don't have a lot of comparables. So I kind of know, you know, I asked some questions from here and there with two people that I have worked with in the past, so they can give me like some tips and tricks on how to make documentation. But this is something that is often do, you know, internally in the studio. This is not something that you can really share with people when you work on the project. So this is something that I really needed to look, you know, in other junior portfolios, and also just watching a lot of YouTube videos and asking a lot of questions, you know, to get my answers. But yeah, during the course that I took last spring, we dipped our toe into this universe a bit, but the universe of document making. But it was pretty simple what we did. It was more like a one-pager or something like that. But I really want to level up my game and make a great document that I could share, you know, with a team if I was on a team. So I will talk about I did 3 versions. I'm still working on this project pitch, but I will talk to you about the 3 versions that I did and how some things that I think I did well, some things that I realized, you know, after reading it or after asking some people feedback that it was not clear and stuff like that. Also, English is not my first language, so sometimes it's kind of hard to, you know, express ideas when it's not in your first language, even though you're good in this language, because it's just not the same. You know, I think that we're all, you know, more clever in our own language than in a language that we are not used to speak every day. So I speak English like pretty. I think I'm quite good, but you know, it's not something that I speak necessarily every day at the shop or something like that, because I'm living in Quebec. So this is really something interesting. So let's dive in. Okay, so we are now at the first version of this mission pitch. So I started with some context. I will not read everything on all those things. I think I will start to kind of just tell you what I think worked well, what I think didn't work well, what I was doing while I was doing this mission pitch. But I will take my time to read the latest version so you can guys really understand what I wanted to do with this project. So when I started this mission pitch, I decided that I would put some context. So I'm like, okay, maybe I can describe a bit what the character is doing in this mission. So, for instance, in this mission, my character Nyx, I wanted her to be undercover to the temple of Helios, and she is passing as an offering to the sun god to find a darkness creature that is held captive, and bring it back to Tartarus, which is the land of the darkness. You can see that all through this mission pitch, you will see that I added some text that are in italic font, And I think that at the time I wanted to probably highlight some things that I thought were important, like some, brain notes or something like that. But I think, when I took a step back, I think that sometimes I'm just repeating myself and saying something that is quite obvious. And I don't really want to be a Captain Obvious, so, I just thought maybe I can just reframe this so it's more interesting. I had it also a lot of images on each spread, and I think probably too much. So this is also something that I will work on the next version of this project, of this mission pitch. So after having this context, I started to just kind of break down my mission pitch into some beats. So the first base is the island of Emera. So this is when you arrive on the island and Nyx explore the place to just find her way. After that, the temple of Helios. So she goes to the temple and she enter it, and she find her contact there. After that, we have Erebus. So Erebus is kind of a mentor, an ally to Nyx, and he will help her do her mission. After that, we have Get Out of the Line, because Nyx is now in a sacrifice line, and she's waiting for Erebus signal to get out of it and just start exploring the temple. Number 5, find the cage. So Nyx explored the temple, and she needs to find the cage of the Hesperidae. Number 6 is Return to the Darkness. So she needs, this is a boss fight, so she needs to just find the Hesperidae and bring it back to darkness by fighting it. And again, you can see that I have a lot of images here and there. Number 7 is Get Out. So Nyx is not undercover anymore after this boss fight, so she and her ally needs to get out of the temple and fight a couple of Emerians to get out. And then closure, on to the next mission, so they say goodbye, and they go back to Tartarus. So I started with an intensity chart. This is something that we worked on while I was learning CGMA, while we were doing a little bit of documentation. So I started to do this intensity chart, like Emera, Temple, Erebus, Line, Cage, Hesperidae, Out, and Closure. So all in all, this first version, had some interesting things that I wanted to keep, but also some things I really needed work. So the first thing is that, I'm using an overall aesthetic, which I think is good to present a project. I have some beats, although they need work, but it's a good start. And also I have cool images that support my text, but there may be too much. And some things that I think really didn't work that I need to rework on that. The first thing is that I'm not thinking about the flow of the level / mission as a whole. So this is something that I have seen in other projects that I've seen on portfolio and stuff like that. So really having like a flow of a flow chart of what are you going to do on this project, on this mission. I also have a little bit too much text. And I don't want people to be just like, I don't want to present this and it's too long. So I want to rework that so it's quite clear. Probably too many images, it makes it unclear, when you have... I think that sometimes, from my experience, especially as a concept artist, especially as a freelance concept artist, when you have too many references, I think that sometimes people are just picking on little things here and there. So I think that having just like one that is kind of the core of your idea is better to just present what you need to do. So because I think that if you have like a couple of ideas, this is for you. I think that when you do your ref board, I think this is super great, and I think this is something that you can present to your team after that, that just be like, oh, this is all the things that I want to include in my level. But I think that when you talk about specific beats, I think that having maybe just one image is clearer. Because if you have too many, maybe the people will be like, oh, is this the part that is important? Or is this the part that is important? Or is this the part that is important? So, this is something that I don't want to happen. So I will work on that. And I do not mention anywhere what you can do. What are the player tools? So I think this is something that I really like in my project. And this is something that I haven't worked that much on other projects because we always had like a predetermined blueprint. But this is something that I want to work on. Maybe like adding some cool things that I can that I can add in my level that would make this game, different. So on to version 2. Okay, so this is version 2, and in version 2 I've reworked my story a bit, and I added more context for the game in general, like what is this universe, and I'm also thinking about this mission pitch a bit like a mini game pitch. So I'm adding like, what are the player tools, what is this universe, what are the core gameplay loops and it will help me to just build my blueprints after that. So this is something that I want to work on. Yeah, so you will see that I drafted a simple game loop and mini game loops, like our, short and big game loops of what you can do. But this is really drafty, and I will work on the third one. You will see that, it has really improved. And I also started to work on Nick's abilities, but, it's pretty rough, so I will need to fix that on the third one also. And yeah, so let's dive into it, and I will talk about it. During this. So yeah, so I started with just a cover page here. After that, we have the game. So here I talk about the summary of the world, like what is happening in this world and what is important. So this is a war between light and shadow. So there is some ideas of contrast there. So I want to talk about that. And after that, I talk about what happened to the shadow people and the light people and why they are in this war, and why Nyx needs to, find some Hesperide. And I also added Nyx here because I drew her, so I think this is something cool to add in to my pitch, because I did it. This is a rough pass on the loops, so you can see it's just pretty drafty. So, you get a mission assigned, and then you find clues, you find a shadow creature, and you save it. So basically it would be like the main missions are like that. So, because you need to just kind of take all those creatures back home. You have the possibility to foresee. And also when you find clues, you read text. How you find clues? Read text, listen to conversation, and find object. And how do you save, the creature? With finding the creature, finding people, and assassinate people. So this is the rough idea that I had at the time. I kept the summary of the mission that I had on the first one. And you can see that I just removed the little text that I had there, but I think I reworked it also on the third one, so this is a kind of a second pass on this. I added this page that is a mission level breakdown, so I added like the objective, and I wanted to find more verbs that were, action verbs, instead of just having a description of what is happening, like, oh, the island, it's more arrive at the island. And it's not Erebus, it's find Erebus. And, it's not like undercover as a sacrifice, it's blend with the sacrifices. So it's, all those kind of things that just are more like call to actions, so it's just like, what do you do in this game? So I think that this is something important when you want to pitch an idea to someone, is just like, what are you doing, and the island is not something that you do, but arriving at an island is something that you do. So I think that this is something that, it can help me to just present my idea better. I also drafted the player tools. So I thought that maybe Nyx can take down enemies, blind enemies, hide in shadow, and make noise to distract enemies. So this was my first idea of what could she do in this world. The NPCs that are more important would be Erebus, which is your ally, the High Priestess, which is the biggest enemy, and the Hesperide, which is the boss. So it's, those kind of three are super important in this mission. Key locations would be the desert, the Temple of the Sun, the High Priestess room, and the creature prison. And word activities, I started to think about that, like, what is there to do that will keep the player engaged a little more in this space? So this is kind of, when you pick up a chest, or when you pick up like health, or when you interact with an object, or where you find a text and you read it, stuff like that. So I was thinking about extinguishing candle-on lights that would be, you know, in maybe like some altars of the sun or something like that. Read text about local, or either about your mission or about just, you know, story of the world. Collect money and collect Umbrian relics. Umbrians are the shadow people. So these were my first idea for things that you can do in this world. So maybe the name word activity is wrong, but what I wanted to express by that is just ways for the player to engage with the world. So yeah. I started the first version of Pillar and Flow. So I was thinking about what could be my pillars, and I was like, ominous, contrast. But I think I was not sure about what I wanted to do, so I needed to just think a little more, you know. So this was my first draft. Another page, objective details. So this is where I just talk about the mission more in detail. So I reworked them, as I said, more about beats, but you can see that I didn't change the text here, so it's still the island of Emera, so I need to change that again. But yeah, so Nyx arrive at the island, and I started to have like, to help me do my level, what kind of feeling I want in those little parts of the level. So at the beginning of the level, I want the player to feel safe, to feel a sense of exploration, discovery, and curiosity. So this is to be reworked, but I just wanted to kind of have a first draft of what I want the player to feel when they enter each space. After that, find Erebus. So this would be a feeling of mystery and maybe spy. So it's kind of the same, you know, so I need to rework that. Blend with the sacrifices. The only thing that I was able to think was fear. So, you know, again, little basic here. Find the key. So nervousness, nervous. This is also something that I need to rework. Free the asperity, so sadness and urgency. And back to Tartarus, I didn't had some feelings, so this is something I really need to work on. I think this was a great first draft, but you know, I still need to work on it. And I still had the same intensity chart, so I didn't change it. So if I think about what worked in this version and what didn't work that I wanted to work on the third version, well, first thing that I think worked is that I'm starting to have a more darker aesthetic in this project, because I think that for me this project is really dark. It's a dark fantasy project, you know. I love dark fantasy, so this is a dark fantasy project for me. And also I think that having a little context for the whole story and not just the mission story is great, because this will help me make good design decisions that are unique to this project. What didn't work in this version that I wanted to work on the third one was there's still a lot of cloudy areas. You just probably have seen it when I just was talking about it, but it needs another pass of work, and you know, yeah, a lot of work. I didn't do any kind of flowchart, so as I said, this is something that is really missing into this pitch, and I think it's crucial to be able to understand the mission at a glance, you know. My loops are super drafty, and I need to rework them to make them clear, obviously. I also didn't edit my identity chart and rework the objective titles, so I need to just kind of, you know, rework that. And I still have too much text in some places, so I think that, you know, something that I think could be to my advantage is that I have a very, very short attention span. And if I am bored when I listen to myself, you know, when I read it, if I read my project and I'm like, I'm bored, I think that it's not a good project. So I need to rework that, you know, just like do something that you feel excited about and that you would like to, you know, you would like to hear your own pitch. So I think this is something that I really want to work on. So for this version, the answer was yes, I thought it was boring. So I really need to work on that and just, you know, think about what I would like to present if this was my project and if this was my team, you know, because I want to hype my team and be like, my idea is so great, it's gonna be a great game, you know. So I want to work on that and make something fun. So yeah, so let's check out the third version. That is not my final version, obviously, because I'm still working on that, but it's closer to what I want to have. And yeah. Okay, so this is third version, and I think that already it's looking clean. I like it. I took a bit of the background that I did for my designs, and you know, I reworked a little bit of the aesthetics so it's more unified, and I like it. So the first page is the world. So this is the summary of the world where I explain what is this game if it was a whole game. And so I talk about, you know, the forces of light and shadow being in constant war, and Nyx being a powerful oracle that is brought to the group, and a deep connection to the dark depths make her a key asset for rebuilding Tartarus, the Land of the Shadow. So this is kind of the base, the main conflict of the game, if it was to be a game. The second page, I talk about the people. So the people are the Amarians on one side. So these are the light people. And their colors are white and yellow. So this is something that I want to use in my level to just kind of differentiate what is in the light people and what is in the shadow realm, you know. So this is something that I will use. So I added some key locations that are important for their people and who they worship. So they worship the sun. And after that, you have the Umbrians. So the Umbrian are the shadow people, and their color are black and purple, and they worship the moon. So these are kind of the two separate factions that I will work on in my project. On this page, you have a rework of the gameplay loops. So what can I do in this game? So you have the main loop here. So every time that you would have a mission, this is like new mission assigned, find clues, find the Hesperide, and find a creature. You have a loop for interactions. So it's tied to the find clues, because a lot of the interactions are kind of going to where you find clues. So you read text, you listen to conversation, and you find relics. And when you find relics, you can use the oracle for seeing, because Nyx is an oracle. So this is something that is important in this loop here. And you have another loop that is the stealth loop that is tied to the free the creature loop, the free the creature element. So it is take down or fight enemies, blind or distract enemies, and hide in shadow. So this is like the three elements that are super important in the fights that you have in this game. This page is about Nyx's abilities. So I wanted really to find abilities that I could prototype in this game. So other than the navigation, the basic navigation that she has four things that I want to prototype. So she can take down enemies with the arrows, it's her blade. She can blind people by throwing a magic dark powder. She can hide in shadow. She uses her shadow aura and blend into the darkness. And she can foresee, interact with relics, and foresee events and clues. So these will be the four things that I will work on adding in my level so she can interact with the world around her. The mission. Here I have a summary of the mission, and I put it the ref board of basically the entire exterior level that I wanted. So here I describe what would be the mission, and I think this is probably the most important part, to be just like, this is what the level will look like. After that, I have the breakdown. So I have the objective, and I highlighted the action verbs that I wanted to have, and you can see that I reworked it a little bit so it's more engaging, and it's more about what the player is doing. So explore the coast of the island of Emera, meet Erebus at the temple, enter the temple undercover as a sacrifice, investigate the High Priestess apartment, free the Hesperide, go back to Tartarus. The NPCs that she will encounter are still the same. Erebus, your ally, the High Priestess, your enemy, and the Hesperide, which is a bust. And the word activities, I changed them a little bit. And the first one is you can deactivate Helios altars, so sun altars. The second one is you can collect and read text. Third, collect and interact with Umbrian relics. So this is, the part that you can foresee some elements with these relics. Collect consumables, collect money, activate shadow shrines, so these would be like some kind of checkpoints. And the main location are the coast, the desert, the sun temple, and the prison. So I kind of, cut in the fat in there and just kept everything that is, I think it's way more clear than it was before. Pillars and flow. So pillars, that was the first time that I did pillars, so I think that I will, do a second pass on that and have only 3, because I think that 5 is a little bit too much. But the pillars that I wanted at the time were contrast, exploration, stealth, mythology, and mystery. I think that mythology is stupid, and by that I mean that I don't think it's super important. I think that it can be, just a theme. I think it's more a theme than a pillar. So I think this is why, I kind of just did shit. And mystery and stealth could be, in the same vein. Also mystery and exploration. So I think again, it's probably just a theme. So I will probably keep just the 3 or just rework them. But I think that contrast is the most important. This is something that I really want to feel in my project. The contrast. And but yeah, I will rework them and I will present it to you another time when it's a little bit more advanced. The flow. So this is okay. So this is my flowchart. This is the first time I'm doing a flowchart. So I kind of don't really know how to do it. I kind of checked a couple of example on other level designer portfolio, but maybe it's wrong. But it's my first flowchart, and so this is how my brain works. So you can see that here I kind of divided. Like there's a first part of the mission that is on the island, coast, and desert, and a second part of the mission that is inside the temple. Well, it's in the area of the temple, so you have exterior and interior. So I think that it could probably be 2 levels, probably you could have like the interior of the temple and all the exterior. So this is probably something that I'm gonna do and just having a load, in between 2. So this could be something fun to work on. But yeah, so I just wanted to separate like the area of the temple and, the nature side of, the island of Emera. So on the island part, you have the cave. And in the cave, you have just the first beat, that is, get out of the cave. What you do in this beat, you do some traversal. After that, you get out of the cave and you explore the coast. And on the explore the coast, you have 3 elements. You have exploration, stealth, and interactions. On the area of the temple, you have the exterior of the temple, and you have the interior of the temple. On the exterior, you have the beat Meet Erebus. What do you have in this beat? NPCs and traversal. After that, when you go into the interior, sorry for that, you have all those 4 beats here. So enter the temple, investigate, free the aspirated, and get out. So what you have on the enter the temple, you have a cinematic. What you have on the investigate beat, exploration, stealth, and interaction. What you have on the free the aspirated is you have a boss fight. And get out, combat. So this is something that I will rework also, because I think that especially this one I want to add a little more, because just having like combat is kind of boring. So maybe have like combat and PC interactions and maybe traversal or something like that. So I'm still thinking about it, but this is my first draft of the flowchart. Objective details. So I kept this page where I just talk about all the objective in details and what I want the player to feel in those little beats. So the first one on the island of Emera, you can see that I just added like 1 image. I want, what does it look like, the island of Emera, So explore the coast. So this is the, explore the coast is the beat. So what is happening in this beat and what I want the player to feel in this beat. So curiosity, discovery, exploration. The ally beat Erebus at the temple, so this is the second beat. What I want the player to feel in this is mystery, secrecy, upcoming danger. The sacrifice, so enter the temple undercover. What I want the player to feel in this part, fear, disgust, and danger. The number 4 is the key, so investigate the apartments. So this is again the action that I want the player to do. Feeling, nervousness, danger, and exploration. Number 5 is the Esperide, so free the Esperide. And the feelings I want is sadness, urgency, and danger. And the escape, go back to Tartarus, and the feelings I want is stressful, power, and safety. So I want the player to feel, in power, but I also want the player to feel stressed. And after that, I want it to feel safe. So these are the kind of 3 things that I want. I want to empower the player in this part, because you just have freed the Esperide. And this is the rework of the intensity chart, but I also need to rework it again, because I don't know what I thought at the time, but the 3D Esperide part is just under the investigate, so that doesn't make any sense, because the boss should probably always be the climax. So this is something that I need to rework, but basically, I just reworked it a little bit with the new beats. And that's it. So this is the where I'm at. So yeah, so this was the third version of this mission pitch, and I'm way more aligned with what I think is a good mission pitch. So I think that it's still a little work, but it's getting there. So what I think worked in this version is that it's very clear and it's not too busy. My game loops are finally in, and I think they're quite clean. So I think that's good. I also express the core principle of this experience that I'm trying to make. And I use action verbs for objectives. So I think this is super, super important. As I said, a game is basically a call to many actions. So I think that this is something that you should give in your pitch. What doesn't work in this version that I need to work on? Well, I have too many pillars, as I said. So I will just, narrow it down to 3 essential ones. And I also want to rework the flow, as I said, especially the last beat of the mission, because I think that just having combat is a little bit boring. So, and it just feels like you're having a boss fight and then you're doing another combat. So I want this combat to be more like a empowering. So it's just like, it's part of the game, but you can't really die. It needs to be easy, because you just you just had a boss fight, so it needs to be rewarding to have this combat after that. Yes, and as I said also, I think the highest point of the intensity chart should be the boss fight. So yeah, so this was the first time that I was doing a flowchart, and I wanted to talk to you a bit about it, because I had trouble just kind of finding what I wanted to do. And so I just, you can see just in the background here, this is an example of what I did, but it was in PureRev. I just kind of sketch a lot, so I was just like, what are those elements, and what kind of get in there to just have it, and so I can just show you the PureRev. I think it will be interesting. So yeah, so this is the PureRev. You can see that I just had so first I was like, okay, what is this map looking like? So I was just working on the map, and then I was like, oh, it's more about beats. So I was like, okay, what are those beats that I want? And I was like, okay, you dock your boat, and then you get out of the cave, and then you see the lighthouse. You go to the lighthouse, you explore the desert, and so I was just kind of finding what I want to do with that. And after that, I think that I started, to just get it. So I was like, okay, when you need to get out of the cave, what do you need to do? Well, you need to do some traversal. Oh, okay, that makes sense. Okay. When you want to explore, you see the lighthouse. What is more important than just seeing the lighthouse? Because the lighthouse is just it's just a landmark, basically. So it will be more into, my plan, my layout drawing. It's not going to be in this flowchart. Oh, okay, well, when you explore it, you you will probably have stealth and exploration and, you know, interactions with objects. Okay, so that makes sense, you know? So this was kind of the way that I found how I wanted to do my flowchart. I don't know if it's the correct way to do a flowchart, to be honest, but I think that it made sense with my brain, and I think that I could present that to a team. So for this project, I will stay. I will keep it like that. But I did a lot of just like thinking to find a way to present it well. But yeah, so for the next steps, I think that on the next video, I'm probably gonna talk about the gym that I'm currently doing. So in this gym, I want to find some, verify the matrix of my project, and I want to use that to do my layout, my layout map that I will put in this mission pitch that I just presented you. Because you have seen right now, I have a flowchart, but I don't have any map of those levels, you know? So I want to integrate that. And I will probably do 2 maps. So one that would be the exterior part of the temple and the interior part of the temple, as I think those could be probably 2 levels done by 2 different persons. So I think that this is a good way to make it. So yeah, so my next step is doing this gym, and I have worked on it, you know, but I just haven't presented to you. But it's just because my brain needs to wrap around what I want to say to you. So, but I worked on that, so I think I will show it to you on the next one. I also want to make a first draft of this level, so just in like rough boxes, be like, okay, you can just like walk here, you know, there's a lighthouse here, there's a temple there, and just like kind of, you know, get the flow. And after that, I will do the plan. I will do the layout plan, and I want to work on the matrix for this layout plan. And I'm planning on doing some kind of building blocks just to, you know, make like, okay, what is the size of a medium room? What is the size of a small room? And just kind of build my map with that. And after that, rebuild it with assets that look more like what I imagine it to be like. Because, you know, if I just do a big square, it doesn't look like a temple. But, you know, if I added some other squares that, you know, are interesting, so I have columns and stairs, then it looks like a temple. So it's easier for the artist to know what they should do after that. So this is something that I will work on. So yeah, so that was what I worked on in the past. Well, it's in the past weeks, because I'm currently doing this level, but you know, it's in deferred. You know, you don't see it yet, because I need to wrap my head around what I want to say to you. But yeah, I hope you enjoyed this little see through my process of making this mission pitch, and I will also hopefully share the latest version. Probably not next time, but you know, probably on another time when it's more like packaged well. And you know, I think that after I will do all this project, I will probably do another video where I just talk about everything that went well and everything that went not well on this project, so you can see it at this time. But well, that's it. Thank you for watching, and I hope you enjoyed it, and yeah, see you on the next one. Bye.